Okay, so question number 5. What is the Lewis structure for I3-? Show all the lone pairs of electrons and the formal charges. Okay, so first let's find out how many valence electrons are in this ion. So we just have iodine, and iodine has 7 valence electrons, and there are 3 of them. And there's also a negative charge on this as well, so I'm going to add an extra electron. And we have a total of 22. Okay, so it makes the most sense if we draw the structure in a line. Okay, so now I'm just going to draw in all the lone pairs of iodine and count out how many electrons I've drawn so far. So let's count this. We have 2 electrons in each bond, so that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 17, 18, 19, 20. So I only have 20 drawn for this molecule, and I need 22 electrons. So I'm going to put an extra lone pair on our central iodine atom. And now I'm just going to find out the formal charges of each of the ions. So the equation for formal charge is equal to the number of valence electrons minus the number of non-bonding electrons. So these are the electrons in the lone pairs minus the number of bonding electrons divided by 2. So first let's look at the formal charge of the iodines that are terminal, so that are on the left and the right of the central one. So since they're the same, that's why I didn't specify which one. So each iodine has 7 valence electrons. The number of non-bonding electrons, so there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, minus the number of bonding electrons divided by 2. So there is only one bond. Each bond contains 2 bonding electrons, and then we divide this by 2. So 7 minus 6 minus 1 is just 0. So now let's calculate the formal charge of iodine, and this is going to be our central atom. It still has 7 valence electrons. This time the number of non-bonding electrons, yeah, is still 6. But the number of bonds it has is 2 bonds. So there are 4 bonding electrons divided by 2. And 7 minus 6 minus 2 gives -1. So the central iodine is where I would draw in my negative charge. Okay, so let's see what the junior tutor said. The Lewis dot structure is a representation of an atom, ion, or compound that shows how the valence electrons of the atoms are distributed as bonds, lone pairs, and sometimes radicals. Drawing the Lewis structure of a compound may sometimes need some trial and error. However, we can follow some guides and rules in drawing it. So step by step, determine the central atom, logically arrange the atoms, connect, make necessary adjustments. And these are some of the rules. So make sure atoms that follow the octet rule strictly have 8 valence electrons. Step 2, minimize the formal charges of the atoms if possible. So we already knew that this had a negative charge, so that's okay. And then the more electronegative atoms are given, the more negative formal charge, if applicable. So all of these atoms are the same, so that rule doesn't really matter for this case. And then 4, make sure the sum of the formal charges match the charge of the compound. So again, for our case, we have a -1 only in the central iodine, and we know that there's a -1 charge in the overall molecule. Okay, so let's see what structure they got. So for the triiodide ion, they got the same structure. So this solution is correct. Yep, so they just went through how they got to their answer. Everything looks good.